Congress passed the Federal Farm Act in December, and they took hemp out from the Controlled Substances Act, so hemp is no longer a drug. The hempcrete is a hemp and lime composite where you run your plumbing pipe and electrical wires up through the center of the hempcrete, and the hempcrete replaces fossil fuel drywall. And the hempcrete is a natural product in our walls, fire retardant, and the best thing of all, termite proof. Termites go in to try to eat it, maki. The gold on the hemp plant is the CBD oil from the seeds, and just a very small vial of CBD oil. You maybe use 5 drops under your tongue that are very therapeutic. A very small vial of that is around $70. Farmers can make easily $60,000 a year per acre, but that price, when you factor in CBD oil and the other products that you can make from the industrial hemp product.
My name is Russell Ruderman. I'm state senator for Puna and Ka'u districts on the Big Island. I also own Island Naturals Market, a group of natural food stores on the Big Island. I support legalization of marijuana, cannabis, hemp, both in the hemp arena as well as in recreational. I support it for many reasons. One reason is I represent the Puna district, which has always been very friendly to cannabis. It was a big part of our economy quite a couple of decades ago, and it's a big part of our social fabric still. And it's very well accepted there. One thing I observed happen in Puna about 20 years ago when they did a severe crackdown on what was then called green harvest. It basically quashed a lot of the growing operations. Before that time, there was a lot of people in Puna who were, involved in the trade somehow. And it seemed that everybody had some money and everybody was relatively happy. People got along really well. After the crackdown on green harvest, we saw a dramatic shift to ice, to crystal methamphetamine, as did many areas, but it was dramatic in Puna because, marijuana kind of went away. It was supplanted by this cheap, incredibly dangerous drug. And we went from a lot of people being relatively happy to a lot of angry, violent, criminal activity. And there's nobody in my community, no matter what you think personally about marijuana, who thinks the ice age was better than the marijuana age in our community. I personally know quite a few people who've been helped by medical cannabis in dramatic ways, and in several of these people's examples, they sought out the high CBD, low THC forms. This was going back 5 or 10 years when people were saying that, the medical people are all just finding a way around, the way to get high. It's not true. These people were trying to treat their cancer, trying to respond to chemotherapy in a way that didn't get them high, and found dramatic results with cannabis, as we now know. In many ways, this may be the most healing plant on earth. I had an experience, a few years ago. Medical marijuana was legal in Hawaii, but there were no dispensaries. I got a letter from a constituent who was a veteran. He was about maybe 50 years old, a veteran who had some chronic pain issues. And he was asking me he couldn't find his medicine. He was not a grower. Didn't know a lot of people in the community and couldn't find it. I went to visit him because I wanted to just check him out and see if he was for real. And I went to visit him. He was out in his yard doing some yard work. He showed me his medical marijuana permit. He says, when I'm able to find this medicine, I don't have to take my other medicines. Then he pulls out of his other pocket 2 prescription drug bottles. If I have it right, one was OxyContin and one was fentanyl. And he says, I hate this stuff. And this is what I have to take when I can't find my medical marijuana. And that really drove it home to me of like, this is for real. How can we be making people take addictive, dangerous opioids rather than this plant that has never killed anybody and as far as we know doesn't cause any serious harm?
I'm a very strong supporter of medical cannabis. I think in this journey we've learned a lot about the benefits of medical cannabis, and we've seen how it's helped so many people. I think for folks who want to get involved in advocacy for cannabis, this is a good time to get involved. As more and more states take on recreational cannabis, I think it's going to be inevitable before it comes here. So we really need to have conversations about what that looks like in our community. And people have used cannabis safely. People are now in places where it's recreational cooking with it, so it enhances the cooking and eating experience. And I think what we have to be really careful about is that if we do go to recreational use, that we have the proper authorities as well as the proper regulations around it, because if it becomes something that more and more people can consume, we want to make sure it's a safe product. So there's lots of considerations we have to do. And so if you're interested in this, coming down and talking with your representative or your senator is important. Whether you're for or against it, or you're kind of neutral and you just want to make sure that we have a safe system, now is the time to get involved in the conversation.
Hawaii's annual fatality statistics recently show an increasing number of traffic deaths connected to the presence of drugs.
We've been watching the news saying that our children are already having issues with vaping.
Furthermore, the same two people can have the same blood level of cannabis.
The legalization of marijuana is common sense drug law that countless other states have already reaped the benefits of.
Legalizing cannabis would begin to address that. We would bring in revenue to the state. We could do public education campaigns. We would bring in jobs.
Time to move forward and to put an end to the failed experiment of cannabis legalization here in Hawaii.
What we saw in other states where they experimented with horizontal regimes, vertical regimes, that there was a place where people could be more involved, and more businesses and the more subsidiary businesses could also get involved. And so we need to make sure that we can grow the industry in that way. I know that many patients want to receive their medicine through edibles, and we had a working group in 2018 during the interim that was looking at some of those issues. So I'm hoping that there's more forward movement on us being able to get more edibles, and that's going to be a way, another place where we can grow the industry and have more businesses involved.
Well, there is a special message that I would like to give to our lawmakers, who I do have the utmost respect for, because they are dealing with a very difficult task of hundreds and hundreds of bills every session and trying to make the best decisions. But they are in a very powerful position to really make some changes to our program that could help our patients and help the overall industry itself. And so I would ask them to please try and open their minds, suspend some of this misconception that we're operating under a violation of federal law, and stand up for our state and stand up for what our state has done in terms of accepting the medical use of cannabis. We need our lawmakers to carry forward what they did in 2000 when they accepted the medical use of cannabis, and let the DEA know that we are not violating federal law, and make the necessary changes that provide the protections to our program so that banking can become involved, and so that patients can no longer fear having to become engaged in the medical use of cannabis. From a medical point of view, I have to say that this is probably one of the most fascinating substances that I've seen. We have a lot of different pharmaceutical medications. So for example, let's say if you're in chronic severe pain, from a conventional point of view, you would need opioids to treat the pain. Then you would probably need Ambien or something to help with sleep. then you need something else to help with the depression associated with that chronic pain. So you're going to be on at least 3 or 4 different pharmaceutical medications that all have interactions. I have never seen a substance that has so many different pharmaceutical actions at the same time and that can be customized to individual patient needs. Now, I would caution that this is nothing like tobacco and alcohol. This is a powerful substance that has very specific medical uses and has the potential to really help our patients. But we need to respect it as a medicine, and we need to promote that perspective in order to make sure that our patients are protected and that they're using this substance safely and effectively. But I think if we did those things, we would find that we could help a large segment of our population and significantly reduce our healthcare costs. One big area that needs to be addressed is this topic of education, and especially for our parents. I think that's one group that isn't really getting all of the correct information that they need to make medical decisions for their children. So there is some evidence suggesting that chronic use in adolescents could slow down white matter development in the brain, and that could have some consequences down the line. But we also have to look at the medical conditions that some of our children are experiencing. Some of these severe intractable seizures where children are having hundreds of seizures a day and cannot even develop normally because their brains don't have a chance to integrate the information that they're experiencing. Or patients with autism who have a high degree of anxiety that could potentially be improved with even the use of something like CBD. There is an allowance under Hawaii's medical use of cannabis program for minors to become registered patients, and both parents now can be caregivers for the patient in terms of being able to purchase material for the patient and even produce their own formulations at home. Now, a lot of pediatricians do not have a lot of information on this subject and may not even be willing to pursue the medical use of cannabis. But I think with all the information that's coming out, and now that we have Epidiolex, which is an FDA-approved formulation of CBD, that this is really something that pediatricians need to address. And if they're not willing to do so, maybe the parent needs to find a physician who is willing to consider alternative treatments, especially if conventional therapies are not working, and if there is a concern for the long-term side effects of these pharmaceutical medications.
Aloha, my name is Hector Hoyas. I am a minister, and I am a huge supporter of marijuana and what it has done for my life. I'm what you would consider a huge diva, a drag queen, a performance artist, a designer, and a canna chef. And here in Hawaii, because of everything that's happened to me, I quite frankly at this point right now in my life could not live without marijuana in my life and the many benefits that has helped me. If I were not on marijuana, I can easily say one thing. I would probably be an opioid addicted mess after 3 separate car hits within 11 years. And 4 surgeries, 3 fusions, all kinds of injections, all kinds of opioids. I mean, the pills could fill probably a good section of this room, literally. And the doctors aren't doing anything but giving them to me because that's what they got to do. They don't have a legal, legit system all the way yet where they can go, no, we want you to use this. Why don't you go ahead and try this so you won't get addicted to this? Or maybe a really small pain pill with more of a marijuana regimen, but you have a small bedtime. So I've learned a lot from being injured in Paradise, which I never expected, but being a bike rider, that's how I was injured. You know, I'm a bike rider. The last time I was actually hit by a car, the 2 times before that I was hit while I was on my bike. And the injuries were so painful that nothing was helping me. Nothing. I tried, I didn't even realize that the first time I got injured, I didn't realize that marijuana would be used I would be using marijuana a couple years later the way I have. Like I never really used to concoct oil, learn how to make just old school fashion oil. The vape world came to be. That created a whole new level of pain relief without ruining your day. Actually, you can actually still be creative, very functional, very vibrant life every day. And that's what marijuana's done for me. It's allowed me to live vibrantly and get through the narrow passages that I've had to do, because my life's just been so, from injuries to civil rights issues to all kinds of things. My life would be greatly affected adversely if I wasn't on marijuana.
Western medicine has told me that taking Vicodin is the only way that I can deal with my endometriosis, and I refuse to take Vicodin. I don't want to take opioids. Cannabis is curing the opioid crisis, so why would I want to take opioids for something? What people don't realize is that there are twice as many females than there are males in the world in every population. And over the last 15 to 20 years, we've seen a complete change in marketing demographic from mainstream advertisers changing all of their marketing to target women. Women don't realize that they have all of the power and buying decision in the home. And the demographic shows that 60% of males are going into dispensaries making purchases, when in actuality, it's the woman sending the male in to go get the medicine because they don't want to have to go deal with the armed guard. More and more females are stepping up to the plate and being cannabis-owned and cannabis woman-run businesses. And it's very important that we work together. It's a female plant, and we have a very special power to bond and bring people together. And that's really what the plant is all about. It's about healing power. And it's so important for women to get together and give that nurturing care back into our society and culture, because it's constantly being drained away from us.
Aloha, I'm Willis Sparrow here in Honolulu, Hawaii, and today I have the honor of interviewing Mara Gordon. She is one of the few successful women in the cannabis industry. She is an entrepreneur, a business lady, an educator, a scientist, a researcher, a true pioneer. Mara, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Will. I'm happy to be here. I first got started in the cannabis space looking for solutions for sleep and pain management. I initially was looking more at diseases of aging and some of the things that we deal with as we get older. My husband had broken his back, so we started doing some experimentation, and I learned very, very quickly that the information that's out there at that point was very inaccurate. It was really all recreational. Nobody was really interested in the science and the data and all the things. So I thought, well, I can do better than this. Let me figure it out. The Aunt Zelda's came from my Aunt Zelda's carrot cake recipe, because I don't like brownies. I don't actually even like chocolate. And when I was looking for a recipe to put the oil into that I was making, I was looking for something that had a lot of oil in the volume, and carrot cake is very oily. So it was a natural fit. So it kind of took on a name of its life of its own. There's no reason why Hawaii, the expo itself, does not also incorporate like a CME, continuing medical education program, advertising in Minnesota, Michigan, Illinois, Missouri, all these cold, miserable states in February. I mean, I love the states, but the weather is not to my liking. Have them come here, do medical training along with the expo, put together all the things that you do to attract these people, put together a golf tournament, put together for a fundraiser to give to help people here that maybe can't help themselves. I also see the opportunity, for example, I've had quite a few Japanese and Chinese people come to me in California wanting to do medical tourism. They want to bring groups of patients to me and have us treat them in California and then send them home with a protocol. Well, it's far. It's very, very far. And the food isn't the same, the culture isn't the same, and there's something to here that you have the blending of the two, where this would be a far more appropriate place for me to say to somebody who wants to come from mainland China, for example, or from Japan and say, we can do this at any time in Hawaii and bring the patients here, work with them, get them established on their medicines, and then have them go home.
I am a 329 patient. I have the card for a prescription due to anxiety and insomnia. I have in the past tried regular prescriptions for anxiety, but the side effects were much worse than the original anxiety, and they were also highly addictive. So as far as like dispensaries, I'd also like to say that it does make me feel a lot safer. A lot of people get intimidated by the armored guard, but I feel he's there for my protection, and everybody's just so friendly and they're so eager to help me, and they're so non-judgmental. I do believe that recreational marijuana should be legalized. I think it's a lot less harmful than alcohol. Plus, let's be honest, that would also generate a lot of tourist dollars.
My name is Zach Wheeler. I'm here at Island Hydroponics. We are an indoor-outdoor garden supply store. We help all of the locals here with all their general gardening needs: tomatoes, cucumbers, cannabis, and kale. We help everybody grow everything underneath this amazing Hawaiian sun. Here at Island Hydroponics, we definitely cater to the cannabis growers, the medical cannabis growers. We have quite a few here in the state of Hawaii, and more every single day. A lot of people need cannabis for many reasons medically, and everybody deserves the right to have that. And being here able to help people understand how to grow, how to harvest and cure, and different ways for applications, it's helps me out as well. You know, I got a lot of knowledge and experience, and to be able to pass that on to customers is very gratifying for me. Whether they want to do hydroponic, whether they want to do soil, depending on what's easiest for them. Got to pick out which type of soil they want to use with peat moss cocoa mix or amendments. We have a large variety of really good consumable type of nutrients for growing cannabis. It's the best on the market. Help them with drying it properly, curing it properly. We have different Boveda humidity packs here to help out. You know, we're in a warm, tropical, humid environment, so we have to go through the proper processes to keep our cannabis cured properly and sealed properly. I've made the mistake of not sealing it properly, and I had some really nice green cannabis, and all of a sudden went brown because it got too much oxygen and it wasn't cured properly. I help gardeners find supplemental light so that they can keep their plants in a vegetated state and grow outside at the same time, and help them coordinate and understand the light cycles between vegetation and flower. 18 hours for veg, 12 hours for flower periods. There's also the autoflower strains are out there as well, where you just plant the seed and it automatically goes to flower. A lot of customers are really moving towards that so that they can just get their 10 plants, do 5 for a period, do another 5 for a period to get yourself on a nice perpetual garden, so that you can constantly have your medicine as needed.
For me personally, cannabis has helped my health. My anxiety does not make me physically anxious to pull my hair out as much. I'm able to take a step back, as CBD oils have helped me have that balance. As a woman, we struggle and go through many things as we age, and so CBD oils have helped me in that sense as well.
I'm an attorney. I'm a 329 card holder, and I'm advocating the legalization of marijuana.
I've been a medical grower for over 20 years in Bend, Oregon. I've seen people treated for cancer, diabetes, autism.
Today, she survived. It's amazing. Her golf-sized tumor went from this big to, less than an inch.
Creating the diversified income stream, cannabis tourism. So all of these are avenues that cannabis has a role to play in Hawaiian agriculture as well as Hawaiian economy.
They did the surgery, I survived. I'm a living proof of what's going on. Obviously, I got my card, my medical card, from my doctor, and never touched any medication that they gave me. Vicodin, Dilaudid, all the medications that I was supposed to take, I didn't take it. I smoked. And guess what? I'm here.
Organic, natural fertilizers and solutions are utilized in the growing of hemp and in the growing of cannabis plants.
So no chemical, no pesticides, but real food.
We need our growers shifting over towards addressing the issue of medicine, being a sacred chore, of producing and farming that in a good, clean way.
So salty, I'll still think about it. We can take my lamb out. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Jacob. Can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop. So salty. You sure you can handle?